This is the Stock Trading Reality Podcast, episode 57.
I knew every hour I spent, I was 1 hour closer to being able to push that buy or sell button.
This is the Stock Trading Reality Podcast, where you get to see the realistic side of a trader's journey. Get inspired and stay motivated by everyday normal people who are currently on their journey to trading success. And this is your host. His go-to choice at Subway is the tuna footlong, ClayTrader.
Yes, Ches, my sub of choice is the tuna footlong from Subway. First off, I guess, do you even go to Subway? And if you do, what is your sub of choice?
I have not frequented a Subway in quite some time, but when I did go there, it was the Italian one, whatever the Italian one was with the peppers and stuff.
Now, do you go to another sub place, or are you just not a
well?
fan of
I
sub?
worked for Jimmy John, so that was kind of the sandwich shop I'd grown to love because I just pretty much worked there. That's why.
And now, did you make the subs, or did you have to deliver them?
So I made the subs, but I primarily was I was actually a bike messenger for them, and I actually made great money in college doing that. So
you had to be freaky fast then, right? Isn't that their freaky fast delivery?
I was, yeah, and it's funny how much faster you are on a bicycle in downtown traffic than you would be with a car. So yep, I used to be able to get things to certain places within 7 minutes of them calling me. So that I pride myself on being able to travel that far and that fast.
That's actually super impressive. So that's well done on your part. Well, today we have a good interview, and maybe you notice in the title of this that is part one. So yes, this is a two-parter, and we are talking with Shawn, and Shawn is actually the second female we've ever interviewed on the podcast, and we're well into the 50s. So Keisha was the first guest back a long time ago, and we've just so for any female listeners out there, if you're willing to share your story, we'd love to talk to you. But anyways, Shawn is very well known among the community. She's been around for a long time, and she's done some very, very good things with her account. And when Ches and I got started, we just made a determination pretty early on that, you know what, let's just make this a two-parter because this is good. There's a lot of great little kind of nuggets of wisdom here, and it gives a really good, realistic perspective of what's required. Now, is it a good perspective from kind of a sales perspective in terms of trying to sell courses and, trading so easy and, you can get rich overnight? No, it's actually very terrible in regards to that from that perspective. But like I said, the whole point of this podcast is let's keep it real and give a realistic view of things. And that's exactly what Shawn does. So without further ado, let's talk to our guest, and hopefully Ches and I don't fumble around too much since it is a girl we both got to talk to, and we're a little unused to this. So let's see how Ches and I do. Well, hey, Shawn, welcome to the show.
I am so excited to be here. It's been a long time overdue.
Well, I want to extend both Ches and I's, just thank you, because you are, as we've probably already talked about in the introduction by now, that you are the second woman, are you a girl? Are you a female? How would you like me to address that? Female, girl, gal?
I'm pretty flexible, Clay. You don't have to.
Okay.
Yeah,
well, I'm going to go with girl, even though you're not like a teenager. Yeah. You look like a teenager, though. So I'll
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey,
you're welcome.
That was good. So, that was good. Kudos to you on that one.
I still got a little bit left. Anyways, so we have our second girl ever. Our first one was Keisha, and I don't remember when that one was, but Shawn is actually quite well known around the community, and we were joking around beforehand. And Ches and I are just like, hey, look, just thank you that you're, finally, able to do this. That way we can tell people, hey, we've already done the interview with Shawn, go to episode, and then they can go and listen to it because people have been requesting this for a long time. And for those of you that are in the community and hang around in the chat rooms, I'm sure you've seen Shawn. So Ches and I are both very excited for this, and she's got quite this story, but a story that I think is going to bum a lot of people out because she has done very well. But what went into all of that is not exactly an overnight type thing or anything that some of the gurus out there may
Wait,
portray.
are you telling me Shawn did become a millionaire in like a couple weeks time? And did that happen, Shawn, or no?
Hardly.
All right. Well, I'm done with this podcast and I'm shutting it off.
All right. Thanks for chatting, guys.
I guess Ches is more nervous than I am for this one, so if he's already bailing out. Anyway, Shawn, let's just start at the typical question that we always do. We'll start at the beginning and then kind of go down a few different paths. But what got you interested in the stock market, and what got you interested enough to actually want to get a little active with it with your own funds?
Probably, well, in the 80s, dating myself here, I worked for a corporation that we had the 401k. So in my time, in my day is when the computers were coming out and technology was getting really, hot. And we had the opportunity throughout this corporation to have a say in some of our funding, our stock funding. So I, through our broker that we had, I don't know, my gut just said that it was like, ooh, we need to do something with the computer part of it. So he bought me shares in Microsoft and as well as Apple back in the day. So it was pretty exciting. I didn't really know what it was about. I just knew that it was that was something that was up and coming. It was like the trend. It was what was going to happen. So my 401k just pretty much took off and went crazy in that span of time when the market was so great. I never watched a chart. I didn't know it was, I just watched my money grow. That's all I did. So, and as I did that, I kept contributing to my 401k, knowing that it was going to go up and knowing that it was going up. And I knew what I needed to have or what I wanted to have for my own retirement. So that's really where it got started. And one of my co-supervisors, he was huge into the market, and he'd come flying in there. Oh my gosh, did you see what this stock is doing? And he'd show me the newspaper, because you didn't look at, you didn't see it on the computer. It was the newspaper, and that's really all we had to base anything off of. So.
What kind of strikes me funny is if you stop and think about it, because I'm visualizing this. The guy shows you the newspaper. Look what this stock, is doing. Well, that's at that point in time. That's probably what it closed at yesterday. But at the time that this guy is shoving this newspaper in your head, who knows what that stock would have been? Theoretically, that stock could have tanked at that, or could be tanking at that point in time. Whereas today, we can literally pull up and see what the stock is doing right now by the second. So. And I really have no appreciation for that, but that story helps me, not take for granted what we have now, because that would be very weird if I were to hand Ches a newspaper and be like, look what this stock's doing. And well, it's not really what it's doing. It's what it closed at yesterday. Who knows what it's actually doing right now? So that's kind of weird, isn't it, Ches?
Well, it's funny how, it's just the evolution of how information is kind of passed on. And, it was him literally, everybody could have read that newspaper, whoever got it. And then he's passing that, newspaper to Shawn, and then Shawn might talk to somebody else about it if she's more interested and stuff like that. It's just funny how that is. And nowadays, if any report comes out, there's 1,000 computers that are trading it within a nanosecond. And it's just drastically different nowadays. That's for sure.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. The computers just see that right away. And yeah, that's pretty crazy. So, how long, were you not even caring about it? Because you said the 80s, so then the 90s come, and then the dot-com bubble happens. So were you just watching your money just grow probably hugely during that whole period?
Totally. I just let it do what it needed to do. I didn't touch it. It's there for me today. So, but it's a whole separate. I never brought that into my trading, into this whole part of it, because I didn't know what this was going to do. I didn't know how I was going to do in this part of it. And it's like, well, and I'm at that age, as soon as you turn 50, they start sending you all this stuff of your retirement's coming up, and this is what you have in this trust fund, and this is what you have, and what are you going to do with it? Are you going to roll it? And all that was happening about the same time that I decided to sit down and start really, getting serious about doing some trading on, doing this trading. And it was like, ooh, I don't want to be messing with my my guarantee, I guess you could say.
So did you, during this time, were you always adding every month, or did you just put in that money back in the 80s and then not add anymore? Were you doing a stereotypical kind of adding every, X amount of time?
I did not add anything after, I want to say 1993. I didn't add anything after that.
So,
and
I guess where I'm going here is, so it's not like you were getting caught up in the .com bubble hype either, where you're buying all these,
No.
tech companies. None of that. You just
Nope.
So that's
No.
nice risk management there, Shawn. Even though you didn't,
Great risk management, even without probably knowing it at the time, that was probably the best thing you could have done.
Were you tempted at all, or because I didn't live through it. I was in high school during that time, so I don't really necessarily. But it sounds like it was just hype all over the place. Were you ever tempted, or were you just kind of?
I did talk to the brokerage office a couple of times. He had called me and asked me if I wanted to be involved, and it was just kind of like, I guess I didn't know enough about it. I didn't know enough about what was going on. I didn't have enough black and white facts in front of me to be like, okay, let's do this. Like for me, when I graduated high school, we had one computer in our high school, and I went to a private high school, but it was like, oh my gosh, I can totally see this taking off. And so that was very black and white to me. And then shortly after high school, I worked for a company where they made microfiche readers. And it was like, I saw that and I was like, oh my gosh, this is like, I can totally see the whole fact of, ooh, this could be something really big. So that to me was black and white. So that .com thing, there were so many companies out there. There were just so many different things going on that it was like, I wasn't settled enough to make that choice.
Shawn exhibits more risk management than probably 99% of the entire country. And just like that simple analysis right there was just kind of proving it. It's amazing to see. So obviously, the .com bubble eventually bursts. Now, has this changed your view on your retirement? Did your retirements take like a huge dent from that downturn or anything like that? Because I know you were only contributing up to a certain point. Did this change your view on kind of, like right in the beginning of the podcast, you said, I just want to let things keep going, and it's just going to at this time, everything was just going up and up and up. There wasn't really things, turning down at that point. Did anything change after that bubble burst?
It did. My 401k did drop. Somewhat, but not anything that was drastic because of the amount of time I had been into it. I pretty much was in it from the get-go. So it wasn't like it was a detrimental change. So irregardless of what the market was going to do, we did roll some things into more secure, some of it we rolled into more secure funds, but some of it I let it go because I think it's a generational thing. I always thought about like where my grandparents were, and it's like the things that they saw and how things changed there. And then, I guess I was just trying to futurize and be futuristic about, like the George Jetson thing. I don't know if you guys know who that is, but, you just think about those kinds of things and it's like, yeah, we could be flying around in, that's a different mode of transportation. It could happen, and I guess I just kind of went with that thought where, okay, maybe this is the beginning of that kind of era.
I will defend you there because if you think about it, let's go back to the 1800s. If you were to go up to some pilgrim and be like, look, dude, at some point in the future, you're going to be able to write a piece of, actually, it's not even writing a piece of paper. You like hit these things called buttons, and then these words are going to show up on this thing that we call a screen, and then you're going to hit this button, and then the mailman is so fast that he'll be able to get to the other side of the world in like a half a second. They would have probably burnt you at the stake for being like a witch or something. Like, what are you talking about? Well, this is craziness. So I totally get the George Jetson thing because who knows? And that was only like, 100 years ago? Maybe a little, okay.
Hey, come on now.
200 years ago, something like that. But regardless, for that to exist from them thinking you're totally crazy to where we are now, even, just 100 years. But anyway, so I guess I'm just defending your mindset, and I do get the George Jetson thing. So you're at this point, you're not even really an investor. You just invested and then you're casually passing by. What finally kind of drew you into not necessarily wanting to start to trade, but just drew your eye in enough to actually kind of care enough to want to learn a little bit more?
I had been in. I went back to school. I went back to college for to be a medical assistant, and it was being part of the medical world and just all my life. It was just like, okay, so my kids are at a point where that they're grown and it was that they're able to take care of themselves, and I decided that I was just going to go back to school and be ready for a career that will rock after they're done with school, and I can finish out and move right into my retirement. So I did that and got talking with some friends, and we got talking about the market and our where we were at, because it was surprising to me how many people my age were back in school because they don't have a retirement, or they don't have they're not going to be able to retire because of the Social Security scare and everything else. So we got talking about the stock market and who had 401ks and who had what. And I had a friend that was always dabbling in the penny market. And
no, Shawn, come on.
Yeah. Well, I didn't even know what a penny market was, so I was like, oh, okay. But I think
your dog knows what a penny market was.
Right?
Your dog's trying to contribute.
But we got talking about it a little bit, and I brought this conversation up amongst the friends, and we started talking about it, and they're like, oh yeah, you get into the penny market and you can buy stock at 0.01 and you can double your money. And I'm thinking, oh my God, that's too good to be true. You can't, what? I mean, if that's really the case, why isn't everybody doing it, And
my adrenaline's flowing. Why doesn't more people have common sense like that? What the heck? Why?
Because
here's
they
another example, like
selectively
Chez
choose.
alluded to earlier, of why Shawn is a good trader. She already had this sense of risk management way back, and here's more. She's got common sense.
It
Wow,
really is
really
just
that easy,
common sense.
Why aren't more people do? Oh, I'm sorry, Shawn, but you got my adrenaline. Oh, people. Yet another little clue as to why Shawn has been so popular. She has instincts, but I don't even know if it's instincts. That's like common sense. But I was one of those idiots too. So I'm ripping on myself. I'm not like all high and mighty. I was one of those. And as I've said in past, for me, it was a muffler company that I thought was going to make me rich. It's a freaking muffler company. So Shawn, good job for your common sense that I did not have when I got started. So I just had to. Sorry, you hit my adrenaline button there. Anyways, proceed onwards. But thank you.
Well, don't let me fool you, because it was like, okay, so I'm starting to look at the penny stocks, because I'm thinking, all right, so I mean, people are making money, and then Joe Blow's neighbor, somebody married somebody down the road from us, whatever, and he plays the stock market and he's doing so good. And I thought, plays the stock market. I'm like, oh, okay, that sounds like gambling. And then it was, yeah, he's done really well for himself, and he's got to hire 2 people now, and he's got people working for him. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, he does this penny trading. All right, so okay, well, I will check this out. So I'm going to read you my list. I hung on to this because it makes me laugh. I mean, it's like, okay, let's go to pinkinvesting.com, 14 cannabis stocks to watch, allpennystocks.com. Let's see. Then there's best penny stocks and penny stock hot picks and top. Oh, I was like,
Joe Blow down the road on that newsletter hype, hiring people to read his newsletters for him.
Right?
What year is this, real quick, to establish some context?
This was in 14. So like it was I want to say spring of 14.
Okay, so a couple years ago. Gotcha.
Yep, 14. So here I am, and it's
Now, how did you learn about these sites? Is this what the guy told you to go look at, or were you just doing your own Google searching to find these things?
It was just, I just Googled penny stock, just to see once, how do you pick out a penny stock? What company do you choose? I knew that there was like the SPY. I knew there was the Apple. I knew that, it's like, so how come you never hear about these penny stocks? So I got to figure out who these penny stocks are. Well, so I started looking at penny stock companies, and I'm like, oh, well, this one's got a website. How nice is that? And then I'm like, well, this website's 3 years old. What's up with that? And then I looked at, I would look at, I would go on like MSN and, kind of try to read, like any information that could be about some of these companies. And, I'm like, okay, well, there's hope for this one. And okay, here we go. And then I was like, gold. I always wanted to invest in gold, for whatever reason. Gold's a girl's best friend. I don't know. But I was like, all right, so I find this company, GYST. I'm like, all right. So I'm looking at them, and it's like, okay, oh, I felt like, oh, here's two guys, they're really trying to make it, and it's like, oh, they have this website out there, and it's just the two of them, and then I get my old emotional woman on where I'm feeling bad because it's like, oh, they're trying to hold a website and they're digging for gold, and
she's got feelings. She's got feelings.
And I have to jump in here because this is, economic. There's always a trade-off. That's just basic economics, and my argument is always women are good traders because they don't have egos. Us fellas, we struggle with egos. But the other trade-off is, I feel so bad they're trying so hard. Women are a little bit more emotional, so that's kind of their little pitfall. Where us guys were like, screw them, they're trying. Do better, buddy. Find some gold. But it's fascinating how women are definitely have the upper hand when it comes to the lack of ego. But I think us guys more so probably when it comes to the emotional aspect of things. So thank you for saying that, Shawn, because that made me laugh. That's classic stuff right there. So anyways, you feel bad. You're rooting on these guys for GYST, and how just I guess keep on going. This is great.
I looked at it, and they were I don't know, they were in the process of buying this piece of equipment or whatever it was, and then they talked about that they were going to be buying these shares, and I'm like, well, if they're going to buy, then I should probably buy, so I'm like, okay. And I think it was like at 0.000, maybe another 0.7. I don't know. I don't remember. But I risked a whole $100. I was like, all right, I'm going to try this. If I can make $200 on this whole mining thing, all right, there could be something to this. Oh boy.
This is just another classic example, though, of common sense risk management.
Yes,
without ever doing anything, looking into like company financials and due diligence and whatever. They come from wherever. It doesn't matter where Shawn found it. She immediately reduced her risk to only $100. If everything went to zero, she lost $100. She did not say, I dumped my retirement in this, I threw the kids' college in here. $100 right there. This is just go on. I'm tearing up over here.
Yeah, but to echo Ches, I'm not sure if Ches ever has, but I know I have in my how many ever years I've been. There's people out there that, I lost 30,000. Yeah, I lost 40,000. Yeah, I lost 5,000. What? In order to lose that amount of money, why were you putting that much in it to begin with? So yeah, I mean that's why I'm tearing up over here too, because at least once again Shawn is practicing risk management by just position size. If you think education is a joke, if you refuse to ever pay for education, that's fine. But at least when you start, just start small. Start very small position size, because at least that's a very primitive form of risk management. So, Shawn, even though your emotions got in the way a little bit, good job. They didn't get in the way enough to cause you to do anything stupid. So $100, and how the rest of this trade how are you looking at this? Was this an investment or is this a trade?
I really didn't know what the difference was, really, because it was, so I guess I was part of Scott Trade. Okay. So it was, so on their page, they have the chart, and it's like, okay, well, it looks like it go up. I had no idea what SMAs were. It was a line. I didn't even know. I'm sure
it's a beautiful line chart. Yep. The beautiful line chart.
It was a line. And then I changed it because then I saw the red and the green. I'm like, okay, well, red means it's going down. Green means it's going up. So I did stick with the candlesticks. That I did do. But, so I'm watching it on there, and then I'm just watching this volume come in. I'm I'm thinking, oh my gosh, something really great is going to happen. Okay, I'm going to make some money here. And nothing happened. and there's my money. It's sitting there. And
Nothing happened price-wise. So there's a bunch of volume coming in, but the price wasn't moving. Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah. And I couldn't figure out what is going on. So, in this whole process, as I'm looking at all of these, I'm starting to do that. I'm starting to look at the financials. I'm still looking at different companies, and I'm not understanding. It's like, well, where's this money going to turn that I'm going to all of a sudden make some big bucks? It's like I'm going to be able to do this. And I was dumbfounded when I get to iHub and I'm looking at, the top picks of the penny stocks. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I shouldn't be picking this stock. It's not even part of the top 10 of the penny stocks. So it's like, okay, so I'm just going to get out of this. I'm just going to get out of this because it's like, I'm not in the right stock. Maybe it's not gold's time right now. And, as I'm in iHub and I'm looking, I got involved in the energy drinks. And this was right after like the pot stock, that whole thing happened. So then I think the energy drink was kind of popular at that time.
Yeah, so the pot stocks pivoted to the new energy drink market. That's where they went next. They quote unquote pivoted.
So you missed out. You didn't get no pot stocks for you or anything.
No.
Did you see any of these things that were ripping and roaring, or were you just still oblivious to it at the time? Because you're not the first person, because I can't remember who it was, but somebody else totally missed the pot stock boom because they still didn't know enough to even really look around. So is that kind of the case for you, or you were just still kind of so new and so clueless that you didn't even realize what was going on around you?
Well, my analogy was I saw there were some pot stocks out there, but in my brain I was going, well, I can see medical marijuana, taking a turn. I can see that becoming part of our future, kind of like the whole computer thing. I was just like, oh, but I was after the fact, so I didn't realize that it already had happened. So I'm like, that could be a good penny stock to get involved in. I didn't realize at that time that the penny stock was, this big boom, and then I didn't know penny stocks did that. So it was like, all right, so then I'm taking money and I'm like, okay, I'll put a little bit into the TBEV and I'll put a little bit into, I can't remember what pot stock I put it into, it was just like, so now I have $100 here, I have $100 here, and I have $100 here. And I still don't know what the heck I'm looking at. But I'm thinking, okay, I have a chance that, I think these are pretty decent, decent companies. And yeah, I did look at, some of their overviews, their pages and stuff like that. But it's like, okay, so then here I am again. It's like, okay, now my money's there and nothing's happening. I'm like, what the heck? So I finally, as I was looking through iHub, I guess that's probably the biggest thing. I'm looking and I'm starting to see all these people, that are like, oh, you need to stick your money into this one, or you need to stick your money into this one. And I'm like, why are they telling me that I need to stick my money into this? Why? It didn't make sense to me. It just didn't make sense to me. It's like, okay, so, all right. So now somebody's going to tell me where to put my money. All right. So how does that work for them? And really, how's it going to work for me? So I was very wary. It was like that salesman's knocking on the door selling. Like, yeah, okay, you're the fourth one I've had today. I'm not going to sucker into, buying another stock just because somebody is saying so. So what I did was I picked, I can see his face, but I can't remember who. I think his name was Michael or something. But I watched what he was doing, and it was like he would tell you what to buy, and then it was like, it just did the opposite. It's like, what it's like, oh my gosh, okay, so this is not the way I want to go. So I looked at a few of these people that were doing this, and then, and how not techno savvy I am. It's like, oh, you got to follow my Twitter page. All right. So I started a Twitter account. So I had a Twitter account open up, and I had Twitter, and you can check out my Facebook page, and you can, check out my website. And it's like, so I finally set up an email box because I was so sick of getting junk to my regular email box from all of these hype people, So, at this point, I'm starting to get exhausted. I'm like, okay, this maybe is not for me, So in the meantime, my money is still sitting out there, and I'm like, okay, I'm just going to get out of this GYST, this gold thing, be done with it. And so I put my sell out there, and it didn't sell, and it didn't sell, and it didn't sell. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And the stock is going down, down. And then it did this thing called split, which I had no idea what that was. It was like, okay, now I'm really like, this is so not for me. But at the same time, I was still intrigued. I was like, I'm still gonna look, I still want to do this, And there was something, it had to do with TBEV, and it's like, it links me to you, Clay. It's funny.
TBEV, I'm sure I did a video chart because I remember I did a whole bunch of them on that ticker symbol because it was clearly popular at some point back in the past because that one does stick out to me. Yep.
And that's where I found you on iHub. And I'm thinking, okay, so this guy does something with the charts. And I'm like, all right. So it made me happy that I was at least a candlestick watcher. And you're doing these, and your analogies and the things that you were talking about, I was like, well, okay, I have no idea what this guy's talking about. And I'm thinking, all right, is he another one of those, those guys? So I started
those
watching
hype people, right?
Yes,
which are pumpers now, right? Which you've now discovered, right? Pumpers. Yes. So for you listeners, that's hype people, pumpers, who she's been describing. That's what a pumper is. Exactly. Buy here, buy here, buy here. They're like, I like your analogy. They're like salesmen that keep showing up at your door, and you're like, no, go away. So, but that's exactly what a pumper is. So you're on TBEV, you see some videos, and you're trying to figure out if I'm a pumper or not. So I'm a little nervous. Let's see what your diagnosis here was.
No, so I was just like, okay, so I don't know. You drew some kind of a flag of some sort, and and I'm like, okay, I have no idea what that means, because you'd always leave the string. It's like you wouldn't say what it was gonna do. You would be like, I'd be like, oh, well, this isn't helping me. And then I started just watching your videos, and you were very consistent. You were just very consistent with just doing your videos. It was before you just did the videos. You really didn't do like any of the
chalkboard stuff or anything like that.
Yeah. So I was like, okay. Well, so then I started watching on iHub a little bit more, and it was like, then I found your website, and I watched your video on you being, just an ordinary guy. And I was like, yeah, that's what they all say. And I'm like, okay. But I thought $99. All right, $99. Yeah, in the day I used to go out and spend more than $99. I'll spend $99 just to see, just to see. So I invested in it was August. It was August of 2014. So I've already been doing this since the spring, and I've gone all the way through the summer and just looking at penny stocks, never looking at anything big anymore. And I got involved with the IC, so Inner Circle, and I get on there, and it was like, okay, here's another whole lingo I don't understand. But I was like, all right, they got a penny board room. And then they have this room that's like way out of my price range. I'm like, well, okay, this is the over $1 room. And I'm thinking, all right. So I'm in the penny stock room in the under $1 room. And I mean, there was action in there, but it was like, okay, nobody's talking about any of the tickers that I'm like already got my money in. And I'm like, okay, what am I'm missing something. What am I missing? What am I missing? And I would ask questions, and it was very nobody ever gave a direct answer except for the fact that Clay has great courses out there. And you're going to have to deal with this, Clay, because I am going to pump you on your courses. It was my saving grace. It really was my saving grace. It gave me the hope that it's like, okay, there is something that could come out and happen in this. So, what happened August 9th?
Well, I'm going to toot your horn a little bit here.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you for the kind of, but I also know and I'm not trying to spoiler the story. I also know the amount of hard work that you put into things. So sure, the courses assisted you, but make sure you look in the mirror and pat yourself on the back, because I know how much hard work you put in. So thank you very much, but let's not undercut all the effort that you put into things. So, so you're asking questions, people just saying courses. So, I mean, were you one of these people that, sat around forever and tried to freeload and try to nitpick little pieces of information out, or Did you just jump right in, talk? Because you were there before ClayTrader University.
Correct.
So what courses were even around then? Probably Penny Stock Survival Guide, Robotic Trading, and yeah. So I guess I don't even want to talk. I just want to listen. So just proceed onwards.
I joined Inner Circle August 6th. I bought PSSG on August 9th. August 22nd, I bought Robotic Training. And then I never slept. I watched these videos. The Penny Stock Survival Guide was my aha to, yeah, I shouldn't be doing this, but I can't really afford to do anything else, but it at least gave me the heads up on, what the penny stock world is really all about, that they're all garbage. It's kind of sad. And it's funny because I have friends that work for some great companies that their tickers are penny stocks. And I laugh on the inside. I would never laugh to their face, but I laugh on the inside because it's like, oh my gosh, I hope you don't have your money in that.
I do want to bring up one thing, though, is that, the penny stock survival guide, for a lot of people, it is the big eye opener, mainly because most of the people that end up taking that course are people who are complete believers, like Clay, believing that a muffler company is going to make him a millionaire.
It's true.
But at the same time, you were never actually a victim of, chugging Kool-Aid by the gallon. So while at the same time, it opens your eyes to kind of the pitfalls of penny stocks and, kind of maybe why volume is churning and, VFIN's on the ask, just unloading shares left and right, and why the price isn't moving and things like that. Obviously, kind of open your eyes to it. You already, just with your common sense, have done so much more and so much better than, a lot of people who benefit from it. But it's definitely good that it kind of opened your eyes to that. But at the same time, like you said, you couldn't, the money you had set aside for doing this kind of investing or trading wasn't large enough to do any of the, the big names or something. So you feel like you're stuck in Pennyland. You're taking these courses now. So what's the next course of action?
So I'm majorly pumped because it's like robotic trading. I was like, woohoo, yeah, all right, we got this, And
wait, was this? Do you remember? Was this the first 1.0 or 2.0?
It was the first one, and
Okay.
it was shortly after that you came out with the second one.
Okay.
So I took the robotic training, and I'm like, okay, now all your videos were making sense. All the videos I had been watching, going, oh, there's a flag. Oh, okay, all right. So those were making sense, but I would watch. I mean, I'd pull up a chart, and I'm looking at the penny stock, and I'm like, all right, this is boring. There's nothing happening. What? So then I'd flip over and I'd go to the over $1 room, and it would just pain me because it's like, I can't afford this. I can't afford to buy stock into the SPY. I can't afford to buy, some of these stocks. And I'm like, oh, and, but it got me looking at some of the other stocks. So where it was, the $13 stocks and stuff like that, but I didn't feel sure enough in myself to invest my money that I was going to rock it, because I'd see you guys post different time frames and all this, and I'm like, okay, Scottrade has nothing like this. So here I am now going, all right, what do I do? So I've got all this course stuff, and now I've got in talking with the guys in the inner circle, I am like, okay, so now I have to figure out who's going to build a platform for me? Who's going to build a trading platform for me? And, everybody's talking about the different, you had your Lightspeed, and Gator had his TOS, and Hooch had
some Canadian nonsense.
Yeah. And to me, but you guys were my heroes. It was like that gave me so much hope. It gave me so much hope that it was like, okay, I can do this. I just got to figure it out. So, I see that you were making money, and you were making money based on those patterns and those tickers that you were doing videos on, and things that were happening. It was like something was happening. You didn't, how do I say this? You didn't teach a lot of risk management at that time. In that early part of it, in a sense that I remember, it wasn't that it wasn't out there. The RVR was out there, but it was like I could see that they were making money, that they talked about these stop losses, and I was just like, they just knew when to get out and what they were doing. I was like, okay, I can figure this out.
I will just to jump in, because that's a great point, and thank you for calling me out. There's an evolution here that for you listening right now, and this will sound like a sales pitch, but it's really not. People now that stumble across stuff, they take for granted the fact that ClayTrader University exists as a whole. Like the whole program just is sitting there. But for people like Shawn and for people like Ches, they came in so early that they literally got to see the construction of things, because one of the great things about the community was, I took feedback and I built a program around it, and I could just tell people are struggling with risk management. In my mind, it just was there. But when you get feedback, when you hear people talking, I had to admit, going back to the ego thing. All right, your program's not quite there yet. You need some sort of risk management course. So as painful as it was, and for me to say, yeah, Clay, you moron, you screwed up, your program's not right, I had to create a course for risk management. So Shawn's absolutely right. The risk management was lacking at that point in time. And so for people like her, they had to kind of suffer through my shortcomings in terms of putting together a good, solid, program. So for you, those who are listening, the course, the program is there. It's been put together through feedback, like Shawn just said. So yeah, you're absolutely right. That's a great point. You were probably just kind of off on a little boat in the waves. What's going on with the risk management thing? So anyways, not to cut you off, but that's a great point.
And it's not necessarily a bad thing. I think that was probably one of the most exciting things that's been for me in this journey is there has been so many things that you have done, Clay, that and as a team with the IC is as I've grown right along with ClayTrader, and it's been fun to, you'll come out with videos and I'm like, oh, I already did that. Okay, good. I'm on the right path. Because there was one time it's just like, I was like, oh, I did that. Oh, maybe did I do something wrong? Or, was I not supposed to do this? But, as ClayTrader has grown, it's been fun. Like I did the robotic training. As soon as you came out with the next one, I watched that one. It was like, oh, there was a lot of aha moments, and it made a lot of sense. It was like, okay, so I guess I was trying to to add that part, Clay, where it was just just growing with you, in this whole journey where it's, things have evolved, and, the struggles that you have seen us have, where you've reacted and, you've shared your knowledge, that has been very powerful in my whole journey in trading. So,
well, good. So it sounds like you're a good roll with the puncher, if that's a real word.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and the community really is, because I think we're at a good altitude now. I think we're kind of in cruise control. We got it down. But yeah, during those first couple of years, it was definitely, a work in progress. So, so you've taken robotic trading 2.0, and I can't remember the evolution of the courses. I think RVR trading maybe came out next, but where did you go from? Now, when you were doing all this, was any money on the line?
I still had my money in TBEV and I don't know, that pot stock. I can't remember which one it was, but
let me rephrase the question. You weren't putting any new money on the line as you were going through the courses? Were you doing any? Okay.
No. Nope, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
But you did start to watch those like $13 stocks if they were alerted, something like that. The ones that were more kind of cost reasonable that you could actually see yourself playing in the future, right?
Yep. I hung out in the penny room or the under $1 room, and I go over to the over $1 room, and I would just shake my head and be like, oh, well, maybe someday I'll be over here. I don't know, But in this time too, that's when I really started grilling you, Clay. I sent you emails, and it was just like, I don't understand. What's this penny thing all about? And you started talking about level 2s. And I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. I have just spent 3 months of no sleep doing these courses, paying attention. Now I'm trying to build, now I'm trying all these trading platforms. And it's like, I have to take another course. You've got to be kidding me. Well, level 2.
I gotta jump in here, because this is what I remember about Shawn the most is she literally oh man, I got a ton of email. I got a lot of emails from you, but I don't have any problem. Did I answer them all?
Totally. Yes.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I don't have a problem,
Yep.
but it shows how hard she was working. I could tell she cared, and Shawn, the name is just stuck in my that's Shawn. I remember she's the girl that's trying to trade, and she used to send me a million emails, and she's really working hard. So so sorry for way back then that I told you that there is got to learn level twos, especially if you care about penny stock. So did you? And I remember you did take the level 2 course because I remember getting a bunch of emails from you about that too, which is fine. But so you took level 2s, and then where did you kind of go from there?
Then I went to the penny stock room and I sat there and I said bad words to Slick Willie. I was like, you have got to be kidding me. I cannot believe I put my money into this. What in the world? Why? If I would have known this, I would have never taken this $300 and put it into any penny stock ever. So I'm watching level 2s with the penny stocks. I'm still hopeful. I'm still hopeful that, because you never know. And I didn't expect to get rich. I just wanted to see something happen. And
I just wanted anything to think about that.
Think about how low that bar is. Go ahead, Chase.
Yeah.
You recognize that.
She wasn't even, trying to get rich or putting all her hopes and dreams in. She just wanted it to move. And I would probably venture to say it didn't even matter which way it moved. It just needed to move or do something.
Oh, welcome to penny stocks. Penny stocks they're so volatile. Once in a while, but 99% of them, that's where the bar is. Will you please just do something? Just move. Perfectly said. That'll definitely be a quote I'm sure Ches picks out. But anyway, so you just want these things to move, and I'll let you pick it up from here.
Yeah. So I in this whole learning time that I'm, and I'm watching the penny stocks and I'm watching the over dollar room, I am also, my stepdad was going through cancer. And so I was taking my laptop, I was taking, whatever I needed. And every down moment I had, I was on here, I was doing education, I was rewatching things. I'm watching this not moving penny stock room. I'm trying to learn about, what's going on over in the over a dollar room. And I am now starting to try to build a platform. And I did, here we go. Are you ready, Ches? I know this is guess which one I'm going to say. It is.
Oh, no.
I'm sorry.
Don't say it. If it is
I'll say this first. I never gave him any money. I looked at it. SureTrader.
Wow. What now?
Just
I'll
let you.
Tell
if
me
you
why.
Rant,
yeah.
Go for it. But
I'll hold off on the ranting. I rant about this every podcast that comes up. Now, what I really want to know though is you looked. I'm sure it was appealing that you could day trade and do stuff like that. And, maybe that opened up some opportunities. I don't think they really give good margin, but that's besides the point. Why did you ultimately not send them any money?
Because I still didn't know enough about any of the trading companies. I didn't know, I knew Scott Trade was not for me. I couldn't build what I needed to build based on what I learned on robotic trading. And I couldn't make that educated decision without shopping around. Cause we women like to shop, So
I'll tell you what your main problem was though. You had a small account, right? So you needed somebody that was going to accommodate a small account trader. And unfortunately that's what SureTrader preys upon is no day trading rule, blah, blah, blah. And of course there's all the fine print. So I think, is that what your main, and I'm not trying to speak for you, but that's kind of what your big struggle was at this point is you were pigeonhole yourself because you had a small account.
Right.
And this circles back to, what Shawn had to live through and what a lot of people probably take for granted now is there are certain courses out there that didn't exist at this point in time that did not tell Shawn, hey, Shawn, there's actually another way you can trade with a small account. Is that kind of what the big problem here is from an overarching theme? Okay. So.
Correct.
So let's actually hop to that. When in your journey did I actually finally come out with what I'm assuming is going to be the options course that finally kind of opened your eyes to things?
It was,
I guess when did you maybe take it?
It was as soon as you came out with it because you must have came out with options between October, because I bought Mastering Level 2 in October. And I joined CTU that following January. So options came out in between there sometime. Okay,
so you joined CTU then pretty close to when we first started it then, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So, and then I got that, oh my God, I got to take another course. I'm like, yeah, okay, another new way of trading. Cause it's like, I went from the pennies, now I'm in the over $1 room, okay, well, I'll trade these, $10 stocks. And it's just like, okay, options. It's a way I can get involved. It's like, okay, I have no clue what that means, but okay, I'll check it out. But I wasn't, and I wasn't going to buy, I was not going to buy another course. I was going to buy CTU. I wanted it all. I wanted, because there was enough proof to me that in all the email correspondence, in robotic training, the penny stock survival guide, mastering level 2, there was enough proof to me that it was about me. It wasn't about what ClayTrader was going to get. It was about me and what I was going to put into it and what I was going to get out of it. I still at this point really wasn't sure enough in myself, but I knew that if I hung in there with this, that it would pay off one way or another. I just had that feeling. So,
okay, we've kind of my fault. I've kind of scattered your story a little bit here, but did you take risk first RVR trading before options course?
Not till I joined CTU, and I took RVR first.
Okay.
And then I took options.
So the options course existed when you joined CTU?
Correct.
Or did I? Okay.
It did exist. Yep.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure the options course did exist when CTU came out. That was like the last course I think you made before CTU came out.
Because
Gotcha.
I was at that point, I think it was like RVR, and it was RVR was out there, and I knew I wanted to take RVR, and then there was options. You had the options, and it was just like, this is crazy. I'm not going to spend all this, and it's like inner circle for lifetime. If I'm really going to make a career out of this, and this is what I'm going to do, you know what? This is Merry Christmas me, So,
So I guess you took the options course and you've gone through RVR trading. How long have you been doing education at this point without putting any money on the line, as we already established? How long has this been?
Probably, other than my little investments that I had, or
No,
my
after that, because
investments
that's when you
after
found
that?
those were kind of what broke your back. Like, okay, I don't know what I'm
Yeah.
doing, so that doesn't really
Yeah.
count. So from the time you stopped trading or investing or whatever you want to call it, from the time you stopped putting money on the line, how long has it been?
Well over a year.
Okay.
Because I didn't go live. I didn't trade real money until March of 2015.
Okay. So for you listeners out there, now, am I saying that your journey is going to be a year? I'm not saying that. But if you think that you can, figure this, business out and be consistent and all that sort of stuff in a month, in 2 weeks, in a couple of months, that's not the reality of the situation. I'm thinking back to Curtis's podcast. I don't remember what number one that was, but he took a hiatus of, what was that, Ches? Wasn't it at least 6 months, maybe even longer, just the paper trade?
Yeah, 6. He said he did 3 months, and then he felt like he was ready to go live, and he said, I'm going to double it, and he did another 3 months. So yeah, he did 6 months.
Okay, so the point here is there's time and effort that goes into this stuff. So when we get to kind of not that this hasn't been exciting already, but when we get to kind of talking a little bit more about when Shawn goes live, just don't forget what actually has gone into, the going live part. It's not like Shawn just woke up and a week later went live. So it's been about a year now, you're saying, and you still haven't gone live. What exactly are you doing as you go through the courses? Are you paper trading as you're doing things? Or are you just observing charts unfold, kind of mapping out patterns? How exactly are you kind of filling in the time of going through, or are you just literally just watching courses and not even really paying attention to the actual markets?
I think by the time I realized by the time I figured out that I wanted to use Thinkorswim, that alone to build to build what I have probably took me close to 2 months, maybe even 3, because I'm not a technology savvy person, and I started, and it was just like, okay, how do I get this chart to look like my trading view chart? That was my practice chart, because I know most of the IC team, use trading view. So, I had that, use that. It was like, okay, because Thinkorswim and TD Ameritrade allowed me to not have as much money to trade. So it took me a long time. I mean, I was on a one-on-one basis with a couple of people in the help room at on TOS. They were helping me as much as they could, and Gator, I was picking his brain all the time, and so I'm watching video.
He's a good guy, isn't he? He's got some other job things now, but back in this time he helped out a lot of people with TOS because he was
the residential TOS our wizard guy. He would always help everybody. He was so helpful for that, and we got forum posts about it and everything just to kind of archive it to help people. But yeah, he was the guy back then.
So yeah, I mean, sorry to cut you, but we need to give Gator, which you already have, but shout out to Gator for sure.
Yes, thank you, Gator. So between watching all the Thinkorswim videos and trying to stay involved in the market and keep watching what it was doing, so I could start feeling the flow for it. I was like, okay, I didn't sleep much. I mean, I would go to bed at 1:00 in the morning and I'd get up at 4:30 because I had so much going through my brain that I was like, I just wanted to get it done. I knew every hour I spent, I was 1 hour closer to being able to push that buy or sell button. And
that's a great quote. Every hour I spent, I knew I was 1 hour closer to pressing that buy and sell button. Shawn, give me a hug. That's a great quote. I mean, unbelievable. Ches, tell me that wasn't a good quote.
I almost, I'm tearing up over here. I'm literally at a loss of words for just the gold that is just coming out.
That's top 10 quote right there. It is. That was great.
Right.
Good job, Shawn. Anyways, don't get a big head though.
Thank you.
Stay grounded.
No.
Stay grounded.
No, I'm good. So once I had my platform going, I had put $1,000 in there, and this is before I realized that there was like the paper side of it. So I am like now, like, okay, that was before I knew paper trading even existed. And here I had this whole, I didn't know what the on demand was. I didn't know that there was that paper side. So I've got this $1,000 and I'm like, okay, this is it. I mean, this is where I am going to, draw the line. So I am, and I still got my money in my penny stock sitting over there, and I go to make my first trade, and I am so nervous. I couldn't push the button. I was like, I don't want to lose this money. It's like walking away from the poker table. It's like, it's not worth it to me.
Now, what were you going to trade? Was this a stock or was this an option? What exactly were you?
It was an option because I had hammered the options and, done this. And I'm like, okay, this isn't so bad. And I struggled with the option price on the actual trade part. And then on my chart, it was still the stock price. So it messed with, I don't know, it was for whatever reason, it messed with my understanding. So I needed to see both for whatever reason. I don't know why. I still, to this day, need to see both. But
that's called personal preference, folks. That's why somebody out there proclaiming they have the strategy for you, nah, that doesn't work. There is way too much personal preference, and we just witnessed it right there. Who knows why Shawn needs to see that, but for her, it works. So just go do your thing, Shawn. But yeah, so that's... I could go off on such a tirade right now about, I got the system for you. No, you don't, because not everybody, that's... Anyways, go ahead, Shawn. I think the point has been made.
Totally. My very, very first trade that I made was I went to my ever old faithful 401k.
And you are probably not going to be happy with us, but that's where we're going to cut things off. So if you want to hear from this point forward in Shawn's journey, you're just going to have to come back next week when we release episode 58, and you can hear how the rest of this journey unfolds. So next Monday, episode 58, we will pick right back off from where we left off. So I apologize, but not really, because I think this is a really good cliffhanger. But we will see you next week in episode 58.
This has been the Stock Trading Reality Podcast. Thanks for taking the time to hang out. To learn more about Clay and the ClayTrader community, including the trading team, premium training, and more, visit ClayTrader.com.